Hello everybody, welcome to Intelligence Racing League for one of 3 evaluation races we have got today in preparation for Season 2. Group 1 is live now, you can find that stream on our channel. This here is Group 3 being brought to you by myself, Luke Etheridge, and Group 2 will be live very soon in about half an hour to an hour's time. We've got 12 drivers here tonight and we are driving around the circuit. Paul Ricard came back to F1, as we all know, in 2018 after a 10-year absence for the French Grand Prix. 28 years since we'd raced at this circuit, and it has changed a bit since then. Many different layouts. We've just seen Mr. Pop XL go fastest so far with a 128.530. We are on board with Siwem just coming up to Cygnus Corner now. Not universally loved this as a race circuit, but in my opinion quite popular. I find, well, I enjoy it anyway, as a track to drive round. I do think it provides a lot of challenges, especially with setting up the car. So we'll see how the drivers do tonight as they try to make sure that they are of course placed in the right leagues when it comes to next season. Just follow Siwem now round the final couple of corners. Let's see what sort of time he can do. He comes across the finish line. This is looking very good for the Renault driver at the moment. There we go, 129.310 puts him in 4th place at the moment. See what a few other drivers are doing. United Bosnia just coming around the final corner in his McLaren. This looks as though it'll be good enough for 9th position at the moment. We've got 13 minutes left of this qualifying session. 9 drivers have set a time, and it is still Mr. Pop at the top of the timing sheets in his Alfa Romeo. Good luck though by Nuffle Bessie there in that Haas, 129.977. Very respectable indeed on that medium set of tyres. See what else we've got coming around here. Juan Javier's gone off the circuit. He's going to try and dive into that pit lane. You might remember back in 2018 it was a very different pit lane entry coming around the exit of the final corner. Thankfully it's a bit more standard now and a bit safer for the drivers. I'm sure you'd agree. They don't want to be getting themselves hurtling into the pit lane. The pit exit can be a bit difficult though around here. I think most of the drivers now are heading back into the pits. Someone going for something slightly different though. Jav SRN, he's in the Ferrari. You might see that Ferrari have had a slightly more successful weekend, shall we say, in F1 terms than they've had the last few times in qualifying, but no spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched that yet. So let's see what Jav can do. Heading down the Mistral Straight. This is a DRS zone, this, and the pit straights here at France. Used to be a fearsome long straight all the way down to Cygnus Corner, but in 1986 Elio De Angelis had a huge crash in testing and unfortunately lost his life. So they shortened the circuit then, and for safety reasons, when they brought it back to F1, they have added a chicane here, but it does provide some overtaking opportunity. And also, if you're not quite familiar with the circuit, it can be quite difficult, the Mistral chicane, to actually know where to brake from it. I think it's 167 layouts or something round about that number, how many layouts there is at the Paul Ricard circuit. It is being known as a fantastic test track. Unfortunately, F1 races round here have proved to be a bit stale since it returned to the calendar, but I'm sure these 12 drivers tonight will be able to provide some great action for you. We just had Javier say that he actually invalidated his lap and then ran out of fuel, so yeah, shame for him. But here we go, we'll see what Jav can do then on these medium tyres. He can take us around for a full tour of this 5.842 kilometre circuit. It'll be 27 laps tonight. Slightly uphill into turn 1, and there's a bit of inside camber there. Go over the crest towards turn 2. He's kept it nice and clean. It's very easy to invalidate lap times around this circuit. Would not be surprised to see quite a few invalidations around here. He's pushed hard into the chicane there at 3 and 4. 5 and 6 quite awkward. You can just hear him hitting on the rev limiter there, losing a bit of momentum as he goes through 6. That wouldn't have been ideal to take him through turn 7. He crosses the board over the DRS line. He's purple in the first sector, so looks to be going pretty well at the moment. DRS wide open, 205 miles per hour, so about 328 kilometres as you brake into the Mistral chicane. 8, 9 and 10. Back on the throttle early again, down the straight, and you can see some overtaking manoeuvres into the next corner. Sinya's Very difficult to do so, though. You've got to be fully committed. You can see flat out 190 miles an hour, and then heavy braking for turn 11. This like double apex right-hander here. This final part of the track, quite a lot of long sweeping corners, can make it very difficult. Got yellow flags just up ahead. That'll be for Nuffle Beezy, so hopefully he will get out of the way, and I think he's just preparing for a hot lap himself. Through 14, running wide over the pit lane entry line. You are allowed to do that. Then hard braking again into turn 15. Flooring the throttle as he comes towards the finish line. DRS open once again. Where will that put the Ferrari this time around? Good enough for 8th at the moment on the medium tyres. Not as fast as we saw Nuffle Bessie do earlier, and he has now gone for a soft set of tyres, so it will be interesting to see what sort of improvements he can get this time around. We've got Mr. Pop though. He's going out on another lap. He's going even faster in the Alfa Romeo. Halfway through this session then, he's still on the top by 4/10 of a second from Callum himself. 3/10 ahead of Skeletor Sar. He's not too far ahead of Siwen. Bit of a gap again. Back to Sendro, Nuffle, Kieran, Jav and Formula Matt. The two Ferraris on the medium tyres. They'll have plenty to improve, as will United Bosnia. We've yet to see Juan Javier and Menno de Beaver set a lap, but they will be doing so this time around. What can Mr. Pop do now then in that Alfa Romeo heading towards the finish line? This looks like it has been a very good lap. Should be good enough to improve his time even more. Yes, he does. 128.358. Fastest of everyone. Now nearly 6/10 clear of the field. That is a supremely good lap time, and laying a marker down for everyone else. Sure, they'll be a bit scared by that lap time. I'm sure they'll be hoping with times like that he gets placed in a higher division than quite a few of these other drivers, but we'll see what sort of times they can do. Nuffle's now coming towards the finish line. We're expecting a big improvement from him, and indeed we have got one. 1.4 seconds there. That puts him into second position for now. Very good lap timing. Should give hope to the two Ferrari drivers that they can get themselves up there as well if they manage to find some improvements. Callum starting to head back into the pit. Skeletor already invalidated his lap, so we'll go back on board with Silwem in one of the cars that probably looks most different to how they looked on 2019. They've gone for a much smoother front wing and front nose section, have the Reynolds, and we all know the Racing Point looks a bit different to the Racing Point of last year, but looks very similar to the Mercedes of last year, and I'm sure plenty will be said about that as the Formula 1 season goes on. We see what sort of time the Renault can do this time. Not able to improve. 4/10 down on his previous best. Stays in 5th position for now. But let's go on board then with United Bosnia. Didn't have an ideal first lap. Expecting much bigger improvements this time. So this will be his first real lap in anger to see what that McLaren can do this year with the nice all orange halo. Another car with a slightly slimmer nose section to last year, and that's a much better time from him. Goes up into 6th position for now with a 129.446 for himself in the McLaren. He'll be very happy with that indeed. Kieran in the other Renault then, he's currently down in 9th, 130.089. Still 6 minutes remaining, so there'll be time for quite a few of these drivers to get back out again and see what sort of lap times they can do this time around. Nice and smooth on the throttle there through the Mistral chicane. That's going to be where we see a lot of the overtaking action in this race. Flat out through Sinjas, as we said once again. Let's see how he can do this time around. Taking that double apex right-hander. Tyre wear, not the most important thing around this circuit, apart from in this final sector. If there's anywhere where it's going to affect you, it is here. You've got all them long sweeping corners. In qualifying, it's just keeping the tyres within that temperature window. Oh, so important to make sure these Pirellis are feeling nice and comfortable. Otherwise, it can be a bit awkward to manage indeed, especially in race spec. He's ran out of ERS, so as he comes across the line, a 129.757. Running out of ERS could have definitely cost him a few tenths of a second there heading down the pit straight. It's about 150, 160 horsepower you get from that ERS. So, very decent Ford Focus engine, basically, you're losing from the Formula 1 car. But Mr. Pop still on top with 5 minutes to go in the Alpha. We'll have to see if anyone can challenge him. Nuffle, the closest challenger at the moment, and Callum didn't get another lap done. We've got Menno de Bever in the Williams, still going out on the medium tyres, now with a 129.8 0.842 he's done on the mediums, and we saw the Haas improve by 1.4 seconds once going to the softs. If he does the same, that'd put him up towards a possible front row slot, so could be looking pretty good for the Williams team. We know their fortunes are slightly improving in the real world thanks to Russell in car number 63, and Menno's hoping he can do just as well in car number 63. The Williams drivers 9 and 11 at the moment. Just locking up ever so slightly there as he comes around turn 12, and I think he decided that that was enough just to end that lap, get back into the pits, destroying the brake marker board, pretty similar to what's happened to the DRS board in Formula 3 the last couple of weekends at the Red Bull Ring, but he's just taking it easy, going out for another lap, so he must be feeling pretty good on these mediums. And let's not forget, top 10 do start on the tyres they couldn't qualify on, and with only 12 drivers in at the moment, starting on the mediums might be a very good idea indeed. So we'll see if he can carry this on for the rest of the lap and still get into that top 10. Obviously, Jav and Formula Matt, I don't believe have set a time yet on their on the soft tyres, so it's very possible that the Williams might find himself dropping out. See what Formula Matt's doing at the moment. He's invalidated, so needs to get back to the pits as soon as possible for him to possibly have any chance of getting himself further up the grid at the moment. 3 minutes 28 then, we are seeing a few more cars head out on track. Mr. Pop coming out now, the Alfa Romeo, he'll be absolutely flying. This will be his final hot lap. Can he get into the 127s at all? Can he extend his lead? Just under 0.2 of a second at the moment for the Alfa Romeo driver over Nufflebeezy. We'll just stay on board with him a bit. Smooth through there. You can just see the rear end wanting to rotate, but he had it oh so controlled on the throttle. He's a 10.5 up through the first sector, so this is looking very good. His first lap would have been pretty much good enough for pole position. His second lap could well be, unless we see a few more improvements. Nufflebeezy's still in the pit lane. Callum's coming out again. He didn't set a second lap time, so it's really now or never for the Mercedes driver if he wants to improve. And I am still surprised that Menno hasn't dived it into the pits yet. And Mr. Pop, 4 tenths up nearly, going through sector 2. If he just does as well as he did last time around, this should be good enough to get into the 127s, which would be a very promising lap for him indeed. So let's see what he can do. Alfa Romeo, final few corners, keeping it a lot cleaner than we saw from Menno earlier on, other than mediums, who's has managed to improve actually. 129.4 for the Williams. That's a very good time. That might just be good enough to keep him in the top 10. He's going to have to change something though if he wants to challenge this man who's coming around the final corner. A little puff of brake smoke from the front right tyre, comes across the line, and there we go, 127.782. That is laying down a marker, ladies and gentlemen, for this season. He is showing that he has got absolute supreme pace at the moment and doing an excellent job for himself. Let's see if anyone can challenge that in the last 1 minute 40 of qualifying. It's Suem at the moment. He's about to finish his, what could well be his final hot lap. So let's have a look at how they do at the moment. Suem comes across the line, and it is a 129.3. So there we go, 129.301 for him in the Renault car. Slight improvement for him in 6th position for now. A few more drivers just getting onto their fast laps. Callum entering the Mistral straight now. He's really one that we could see improve, as he didn't get that second run. So potentially out of all these, you'd expect to see the biggest improvement from him. Jav's gone up to 4th in the Ferrari. We're expecting a big time for Formula Matt, as well as we've just seen Callum get a bit sideways there, coming through the end of that Mistral chicane. Still 3 tenths up on his personal best. We might have lost a couple of tenths there. Needs to find a fantastic final sector to improve. The Williams gets out of the way. Doesn't want to get any warnings this early on before the season starts for any possible penalties for blocking in qualifying. Definitely not something you want to do at the moment. So Callum's actually left the session, it's saying. So that is a shame for him, because it was looking like he was going to improve. So not quite sure what has happened there. Star trying to now improve on his time. He's 5th in the Alpha Tauri. We'll see if anyone's coming around the final couple of corners. Jav, I think, is just about to finish his lap. Menno's coming into the pit lane. Jav unable to improve. We've got Formula Matt is not going to have time, I don't think, to start his final flying lap. he says he is on the game. I'm sure it looked as though he crossed that finish line afterwards, but we'll go with what the game says. Maybe a bit of a timing glitch here on the timing tower. So Formula Matt will be last man across the line. Next man will be United Bosnia, but he has dived into the pits. Shame for Callum that he wasn't able to improve. He only got 1 lap time there, so that is disappointing for him. Can Kieran improve? He'll be feeling a bit meh about his 9th position at the moment. We're wanting to move up the order. Needs 3 attempts to get ahead of the McLaren and the Williams to hop ahead of him and get alongside his teammate possibly. We'll see what Kieran can do. It is a slight improvement, but only keeps him in 9th position for now. Javier has invalidated his lap, so won't be seeing any more improvements from him. We'll just stick with him to see if it would have been a faster time anyway. No, it wouldn't, so he stays in 11th. Got Alpha Tauri, Skeletor Star coming around the final corner now. Can he move up and get his car onto that second row of the grid as he comes across the finish line? Yes, he can. Displaces the Ferrari of Jav down into 5th position. So Skeletor goes 4th. Are we going to see any improvement from Nuffle Beezy? We do. Gets closer to the Alpha for Romeo up ahead, but that is still a huge margin. And Formula Matt coming around the final corner now. He'll be the final driver to set a lap time here. Can he get that Ferrari into the top 10 at the expense of Kieran in the Renault? Comes towards the finish line. A 129.8. I think that will have done enough to get him into the top 10. No, actually just outside. 11th place for him. Not able to make good use of those soft tyres to improve any further. Mr. Pop definitely, though, head of the field at the moment by 4/10 of a second. And then he's got a 1 second gap over the second row of the grid. That is some extreme qualifying dominance. Callum only managed to set 1 lap. Shame for him. And Skeletor Star is rounding out the second row of the grid. Jav and Vern, they're 5th and 6th. Menno de Beaver is 7th. Bosnia 8th. Syndrome 9th. Kieran is 10th. Formula Matt 11th and Javier 12th. All but Menno set their fastest lap on the soft tyres. And unfortunately for Menno, he's actually got himself a 5-place penalty. So his qualifying strategy of starting in the top 10 would have looked fantastic, but he will be starting from the back of the grid and will have to start on those mediums that he set that qualifying time on, which is a shame for him. So have to see what he can do. It's a 27 lap race. Let's not forget what the stewards and everyone are sort of looking for from this is just a bit of the racecraft, the actual pace, of course, oh so important, and they'll be basing the groups on the previous knowledge of some of these drivers that have managed to race before. So we'll see how they manage to do in this next couple of races. There's a few more evaluation races to go, of course, before the season starts in a short while. It'll be a couple of weeks' time before we do get the season starting. Quick reminder, we have got Group 1 going as well at the moment, and there is Group 2 also going later on, so make sure to catch that with Dan, or V8 Field as you might know him, commentating on that, and I believe it's Mike commentating on the top session at the moment. But just waiting for all the drivers to get their setups ready, and then we'll be underway with one of the evaluation races here. 27 laps of the Paul Ricard circuit. All looks as though it's going to be nice and dry, and there is no formation lap, so we're just going straight out to the racing. Underway here. Good start from Pop, keeping his lead. Nuffabezi able to just slot in behind him. One of the rebels of CWM looking to move his way up around the outside of a few cars as well. In fact, trying to sneak his way up into 3rd place. He's done well there. Callum's going to be forced off the circuit. There's a bit of carnage in the background. I think we saw Formula Matt going very wide there, and he is around, but CWM has managed to hold on to that 3rd place. Callum tries to force one down the inside. Surprised he hasn't damaged his front wing doing that, but come to think of it, damage may have actually been turned off, I believe, just to ensure that there are no retirements, and if anyone gets taken out, they are able to continue. So you might see a bit more argy-bargy, but it's Pop in the lead from Bezzy. Callum now just ahead of Siwim. There's your predicted race strategy, a 2-stop strategy, soft, medium, or soft, medium, as Callum having to fight off Siwim here, and he's just about able to do so. That will have compromised his exit, so expect the Renault to get a much better line coming out of that corner. And there we go, that is 3rd place now for the Renault. He's fighting tooth and nail, though. They're going to go side by side through signals. This is going to be very close indeed, and the Mercedes just about stays ahead for now. Great racing from these two, and Skeletor Stars managed to get ahead of the Ferrari of Jav, who's running off circuit as well. So an action-packed first lap. One man who's sort of just got away from it all is Mr. Pop XL. He in the Alfa Romeo at the moment. We've got more yellow flags, and that is Kieran, who is around coming out of turn 12. Not sure if there's been any contact, but he is now down in last place, dropping behind Formula Matt, who had that spin coming out of the first chicane. But there we go, Mr. Pop, fastest man on circuit at the moment, Nuffle second. These two are already clear of Callum in third place. He's 3.3 seconds off the lead. Siwen was attacking. He'll be going for it again soon, especially next lap once DRS is enabled. Again, that's pit lane strategy coming up. Lap 5 to 7. We'd expect to see these guys coming up, and you might go for the hards in the final stint. I'd be very surprised, though, to see anyone going for that. I think soft, medium, or soft, medium will be the way forward for anyone. Javier's got himself a penalty on board here, then, with Skeletor Star. He's got a great view of this battle up ahead as we look at who the winners and losers were on that first lap. Menno de Bever going up 3 positions. Of course, he did qualify well, but had that penalty, and Kieran, thanks to that spin, has dropped down 3 positions. So one of the Renaults dropping places, one of the Renaults gaining. He nearly gained 3 places himself, but it's just not gone to plan with that overtake on Callum. The Mercedes showed some great straight line speed, I must say, to be able to get ahead. We've got more yellow flags, and I'm not quite sure who that is for, and it is Formula Matt, I think, who's gone off the circuit again, so he's down into last place. We go further up the field. Skeletor Stars managed to get past Siwen there. That must have been round the outside, I believe, of turn 11, so very brave move. He clearly feels like he's got the pace. Callum just running wide off the track there. I mentioned this in qualifying. It is very, very easy indeed to get penalties in this situation. Around this circuit, I've seen a couple of times drivers actually get disqualified for picking up too many penalties. DRS will be enabled this lap then. Down the Mistral Straight will be the first time they get to use it. It's going to be Callum who finds himself slightly vulnerable to Skeletor and Siwen behind. We still do have the silver Mercedes on F1, but Codemasters have promised us it won't be too long before we get that beautiful, I must say, all black car being shown on here. And Callum's got to really do some defending here because he's lost a bit of time in that first part of the sector. Needs to get turn 6 and 7 absolutely spot on. He seems to have done that. Skeletor Star will be opening the DRS, just going into overtake slightly, and already Callum feeling the need to go defensive to break the toe early on. I'm not sure that was necessary because this Alfa Tauri is a long way down the field, and decided not to go for it, I think, quite wisely. Jav, he's now behind Siwen. He'll be trying to get past. Menno de Bever is battling with Sindro on the soft tyres, but those softs will be starting to get a bit more worn out now. So these mediums could be looking pretty good. 3 drivers started on the mediums. We knew Menno was going to, and we also saw both drivers outside the top 10, being Javier and Formula Matt, also go for those medium tyres. So lap 3 out of 27. Menno could be looking pretty good in this race. Depends how well he can keep those medium tyres lasting. If he does a very good job, might be able to go on the softs for the final 2 stints and really set the timing screens alight, because we didn't get to see what sort of pace he could have on the red wall tyres. We know what sort of pace this man's got on the red wall tyres. Cross the finish line again. Now 1.6 seconds the gap back to Nuffle Beasy, who could well be on his own for a lot of this race. 1.6 seconds ahead of him is the Alfa Romeo. 3.5 seconds behind is Callum, who at the moment is not thinking about moving up. He's too busy thinking about defending. This is turning into a freeway battle then for the final podium position at the moment between Callum, Skeletor Star and Siwen. We'll just have to see what he can do at the moment. Taking it a bit easier through 6 than he did last time. That's already a sign of just how quickly the tyres can wear out around this stop. If you start on the mediums and go to the hards, the one stop could really work. As Callum, is he going defensive this time? Does not need to. Again, Skeletor just not able to get close enough, but that DRS is helping him get away from Siwen, who's just dropped back slightly there, so I'm not sure if he's made a mistake at all. Menno de Bever has gone from defending from Sindro last lap. This time he's attacking United Bosnia, and you can just see the grip he has got coming out there of turn 10, the last corner of the Mistral chicane, just down the inside, and that is a straightforward overtake for him. 7th position now for the Williams. He'll be very happy with that indeed, and the Ferrari of Jav will be his next target. I don't think it'll be too long before we see a few guys maybe diving into the pits, especially these that are stuck behind someone else. Skeletor not going for it. Suem not going for it, so maybe another lap or two before we will see the first pit stops in this race. And there we go, Jav's dived into the pit lane. He got himself a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well, so we'll have to serve that at his next stop, because this is definitely a two-stop strategy for the Ferrari man. With the medium tyres going on, will drop him down to the back of the field, I believe, and it is a very awkward pit lane exit here. You've pretty much come out on the racing line. Thankfully for him, won't be any cars nearby, and he'll have a bit of free air just to use those tyres. That gives Menno de Bever some free air as well. On board with the Williams then, 6th position at the moment, 3 seconds behind the Renault, but he knows they'll be pitting earlier than him. By the time he catches them up, I'll be very surprised if they haven't come into the pits, and I'll be very surprised if we don't see quite a few more coming in this lap now that Jav has sort of set off the chain. A reminder, in Formula 1, the undercut extremely powerful. When you put the fresh tyres on, because of no refueling, you're on the same fuel load as the car ahead, just with a lot more grip, and you can gain a lot of time by pitting a lap earlier, as long as you have enough rubber left on your tyres so they don't fall off the cliff at the end of the race. Skeletor still stuck behind Callum, so if Callum doesn't pit this lap, I think Skeletor definitely will, as he just tries to send one up the inside there of turn 11. Callum going slightly wide, just about had that covered off at this moment in time. Wheel spinning ever so slightly there, as we are seeing now a few pit stops. Mr. Pop in the pits, the leader. Callum going in as well, so Skeletor decides to stay out, trying something different, because he's finding it pretty difficult to get ahead on track, so that puts Nuffle into the lead of this race. But Skeletor up into second. You can just see the handy little signs there saying the pit window is open, but we have seen a few people pit earlier than that at the moment. 3 pitting on that lap. Mr. Pop, Callum going on the hard tyres. That's an interesting strategy choice, I must say. And United Bosnia going for the more conventional medium, so we'll see how much has the undercut worked here for Jav. I don't think it has a lot. He might have actually lost a bit of time in all this. We'll see where he comes out. He's just going to end up ahead of United Bosnia, but there we go. 11th and 12th for these guys that have pitted. Callum comes out in 10th, and Mr. Pop is in 7th. He'll be trying to get past Kieran as soon as possible on those medium tyres. We'll get DRS here as well, and that could definitely help him. Should still comfortably have the lead when all the other drivers pit, which I think will be at the end of this lap. So on lap 6 out of 27 here at Fransons, we see Mr. Pop take that 6th place down the inside. Nothing Kieran can do. He defended as hard as possible, but not able to do anything. Mr. Pop is the net leader at the moment, but out on track in the Haas. The head of the field at the moment is Duffel, but he has yet to pit. And all of the top 5, you can see, have still got to pit, along with Kieran, Javier and Formula Matt. There we go, leader into the pits. See if anyone else follows. Skeletor follows as well. I think Suem probably will. We'll see most of the drivers coming. Will Sindro try and go on a lap longer? He is, so he's feeling pretty comfortable on these soft tyres at the moment in the racing point. I say he's feeling pretty comfortable. There's a sign of how little grip he's got on the rears, just lighting them up coming out of the final corner. That now promotes Menno then into the lead of this race. Where's Duffel going to come out in regards to Mr. Pop? We know he's going to be behind them. He's gone for the soft tyres again and just comes out ahead of one Javier, who decides, I think quite wisely, not to go for that down the inside. Would have just cost himself time. And you can see what pitting a lap later has done for Skeletor Star. He's no longer in DRS range of Callum. Will he be able to keep these tyres in good enough shape until the end of the race? 21 laps he'll have to do. It's possible, but they might be looking a bit second best late on, so we'll have to wait and see. We expect Mr. Pops definitely looks like he's going for a 2-stop. Nuffle has to, as you have to use 2 different types of tyres. And obviously Jav and United Bosnia, they will also definitely be going on the 2-stop. So we'll have to see if there's some different strategies going along here in this race. We've got a battle ahead of these guys. There are 2 drivers who haven't pitted yet, Matt and Javier, 5th and 6th position at the moment, as we just see Javier get his 2nd penalty, I believe, of this race. Don't want to pick up too many of them. Obviously, it's just a pre-season race, so no points or positions are on the line, but they want to show that they can do the cleanest and fastest job possible. And at the moment, it looks like Mr. Pop is definitely going to be the individual who is doing that all over the back of the racing point of Sindro, who I think might be trying to dive into the pits here. No, heads out for another lap. Mr. Pop just tapping the back of him. Don't want to give yourself any damage. So Syndrome not really defending there, but just doesn't have the pace, and he's just holding Mr. Pop up here at the moment. He's going to have to go the long way around into turn 1. Syndrome just slots in behind. He's not interested in fighting that battle at this moment in time. So that is Mr. Pop. Second position in the net lead though, 9.1 seconds behind Menno de Bever, who will be going quite a bit longer into this race though, having started on those mediums. So he could very well get onto the hards and easily make the one-stop work. We'll have to see what sort of strategy he goes towards the end of this race. Now Callum and Skeletor, who were 3rd and 4th before the pit stops. They're finding themselves in this battle with Formula Matt and Javier. I mean, I think Javier, they're just deciding to get out of the way. He doesn't want to get involved in this and lose any more time than he has to on those 7-lap-old mediums. They're definitely starting to get towards the end of their life. And Skeletor losing some time getting through the traffic there. He's now 1.9 seconds behind Callum, who was not able to get ahead of Formula Matt. So we'll see if the Mercedes can do anything about it this time around. Further up ahead, Nuffle has managed to get ahead of Syndro as well, who is doing a good job on those soft tyres. I think he's definitely trying to push this into a one-stop by chasing on the hards, and you can just see Matt hasn't got the grip to take the inside line there around turn 10. Callum sweeping around there. That is a move up into 5th place for now. He'll be hoping that Formula Matt is able to hold up Skeletor start as well and maybe consolidate his own position on the podium here for Callum. He's 5th place at the moment. Syndro will be his next target, but a racing point, 8 laps on those soft tyres, and they are crying enough. He dives into the pits and seems to take an age, this pit lane here at Paul Ricard since that new entry, but we'll see where he comes out. Expected to be quite a long way down the field, but possibly near the back in last position. Skeletor now is behind Formula Matt. They're not able to get in the slipstream that time around, but he should be a lot closer heading into the chicane at turns 8 and 9. Who you guys who are watching think is going to be victorious at the moment? Skeletor nearly actually losing it there, caught out by how much more grip he's got under braking, and nearly stacked it into the back of Formula Matt, who runs wide, and he'll gladly receive that place. But they're both just wanting to get DRS here, and I'm not sure Skeletor's thinking about, obviously, Callum up ahead. He's lost himself a bit of time there, and I think he might have been better just letting Formula Matt have DRS, because he'd have struggled with traction out of the corner anyway. But in the end, Skeletor is up into 5th position. He's now 2.1 seconds behind Callum, and you remember how close he was before the pit stop period. Be interested to see if, with those 1 lap fresher tyres, he can close that gap down again. And Siwem's actually dropping back from these guys as well. We've seen another pit stop though for Jav. That is interesting. He's just put the hard tyres on. That is his 2nd stop of the race, so don't know if he got involved in an incident anywhere, because he'd gone on to the mediums, I believe, after his 1st stop. So not sure why he's pitted again. Can only assume it is for damage, as we do have race leader pitting. Menno de Bever into the pits then. In the Williams, he'll be putting on fresh set of tyres. Will it be the mediums again or the hards? Looks like the white-walled hard tyre, so 1 stop definitely on for the Williams at the moment. Very smooth pit stop for him. We'll see where he comes out. I think he'll be around about where his teammate is. You can see there, 1-stop strategy. Pit window is open now, so about 1 lap earlier than normal. And indeed, he does slot just ahead of United Bosnia, who has just overtaken Javier. So the Williams now 6th and 8th. It'll be interesting to see how high up the field Menno de Bever can get. He's got 3 lap fresher tyres over 2 cars ahead of him, 4 laps fresher than Callum. And we know that the 2 guys at the head of the field, 2nd place man, Novo BZ, and this man, our race leader, Mr. Pop XL, 1.4 seconds ahead at the moment. Will these both have to pit again, and Nuffle will have to pit sooner rather than later, having started on the softs. On the softs again, just keeping that gap consistent, just below a second, just above a second. I'm sure he was hoping to get within that all-important 1 second point, so we'll have to wait and see how he can do at the moment. But Mr. Pop in the lead, Nuffle BZ in 2nd, and Callum is currently 3rd position, with Skeletor Star starting to close up to him. And Menno de Bever, he's not messing about at all, tries to go round the outside there. Can he hold it all the way round turn 12? This would be a fantastic move. There's a bit of contact and gesticulation from the cockpit. That'll give him the inside line for the next corner. Fantastic driving from Menno. He's showing some fantastic outright pace that we didn't get to see, obviously, in the qualifying session. 15 seconds off the lead of the race. We'll keep this lead gap up now, because we know that the 2 guys at the head of the field do have to pit again. That is Menno de Bever up into 5th place now. Siwem will have DRS headed down towards turn 1. We'll just see that flap on the rear wing of the Renault there opening up. Menno not having to defend though into turn 1, sorry, so holds on to that 5th position for now. Now that they've got through the traffic, this man Skeletor is starting to get right up to the rear wing of Callum. This is the battle for 3rd and 4th place. Looking back from Callum, his rear tyres still obviously looking in decent condition. He'll be hoping to get them towards the end of the race. Skeletor not quite close enough to get in DRS range at the moment. That AlphaTauri with the Honda engine, and I must say, from the bit of my team I've been doing, I do love the sound of this Honda engine. Sounds very smooth and very nice indeed. Siwem now picks up a penalty as he tries to fight back at Menno in the Williams, but we could see that battle for the 3rd podium slot lighting up again between Callum and Skeletor, Mercedes versus AlphaTauri. And if they start fighting really hard, Williams and Renault behind, you can be sure will get themselves involved as well. We've seen a few others come into the pit. Formula Matt has pitted as well now. Javier though still out on circuit on those medium tyres, down in 8th position. I'd imagine this lap or next lap he will come in and ditch those for the hard tyres. So both Williams look to be going for the one-stop strategy. We'll just listen on board there with Javier to see if it sounds like he is struggling with traction. Not too bad through there. You can see taking a bit of a tighter line, obviously, if you want to stick towards the outside for the final corner, but wheel spin definitely out of the final corner. He is struggling indeed. I think Jav or Formula Matt might have been round again, but not quite sure. We did see a brief yellow flag in Sector 2 coming out of turn 8 and 9, a Mistral chicane. Up in front, the gap is extended though up to 2.1 seconds. Knucklebeezy, now the softs are starting to wear a bit more. Might be able to get a lap or two more out of them than he did last time around now that the fuel load has gone down, but I'd expect hard tyres or mediums towards the end. But Xavier on 11 lap on mediums is starting to struggle, so having to do 15 laps on the mediums, even with a lighter fuel load, might be a struggle for the Haas driver in Romain Grosjean's car number 8 at the moment. And this battle is beginning to light up then for 3rd and 4th place. So they're now 10 seconds behind the lead duo of Mr. Pop and Knucklebeezy. Callum is in that 3rd place. Skeletor Star 4th. And Menno and Siwem just 2 seconds behind at the moment. We expect all of these drivers to go towards the end then on these tyres. As there we see Nuffle is into the pits. So the Haas pits from 2nd position, briefly goes into the lead just because of the way the pit lane works here. We'll see what tyres he comes out on his 2nd and final stop. Will he go for the mediums? He'll definitely have more pace early on. Just trying to see, and they look like the white-walled hard tyres than to me. And he's going to drop a long way down the order behind United Bosnia then, who's on the medium tyres, so will have to pit again. So we know 2 drivers will have to pit, and that's Mr. Pop and United Bosnia. But the game said soft medium could work. It doesn't look like it is. Nuffles had to go onto the hard tyres, and that could just cost him a chance to the podium then. If Callum and Skeletor can go to the end of this race without pitting, and Siwem as well. We expect Menno de Bebe, just with that slight freshness, he should find it no trouble indeed. And Xavier's also pitted on that lap to change his tyres. And again, just looking back from Callum, no DRS for him as he's not got anyone within a second. Now you can see it does look like Menno is just slightly closing up to the back of Skeletor, who's got himself a 3-second time penalty there. With how close some of these drivers are, penalties could really play an important part at the end of this race. Lap 13 is Mr. Pop still in the lead then by 12.7 seconds now. He'll be able to get a couple more laps out of his tyres before pitting for the mediums, and he'll be pushing hard towards the end. And we've got a yellow flag, and that is for Sindro. Did see himself getting a penalty, so I wonder if he's just hopped over the curb there and then lost it. That might drop him down behind Formula Matt, who all of a sudden finds himself right in contact with another car for 9th and 10th position. Going to have to be brave to think of something here in the final sector. Sindro just tries to clean his tyres up ever so slightly, but that is the racing point down in 9th for Formula Matt. He's thinking about it. He's got himself alongside in the Ferrari. He'll have to go the long way round at the next corner, but he's later on the brakes, and he just does it. I think Sindro realised at this moment in time that Ferrari has a bit more pace, and he was just able to drive clean about the outside of him. So Great move from Formula Matt. Not had the best qualifying session, but up in 9th position at the moment. He's gone very defensive there, though. Syndro will have DRS coming out of this corner, and this could be very difficult for Formula Matt to defend. You can see him already going over to the left-hand side of the track, switching back over to take the racing line, and he does stay ahead of Syndro. Both drivers running low on ERS. You can see that orange number that come on the ERS, 6%. When you're below 10%, you do lose that deployment from the ERS. So needs to just save it slightly. Make sure to not use that overtake button, but he could find himself vulnerable from Syndro then next time around. Whereas Skeletor was looking at getting ahead of Callum earlier, he's dropped back ever so slightly, and now Menno is closing up. He's got the Renault of CWM out of his sight now behind him. 3 seconds that gap, so he can just focus a bit more on attacking. But Skeletor will be hoping to get back into that DRS range to ensure that he has a bit of more tools to defend from Menno at the moment. You can just see him locking up, nearly heading towards the pit lane, so really pushing. And I do think the dirty air effect is slightly more realistic on this game, and I know that makes it more realistic, but it could end up being a detriment to the racing. Hopefully not for the rest of the season. We've got more yellow flags there. Not sure who that was for. We saw Formula Matt and Syndro just dropping through that section, but both able to continue unharmed, it looks like. As Menno, he knows he needs to get this move done pretty quickly to get ahead of Skeletor, who'll be looking to get that gap to the car ahead back down to less than a second to make use of DRS. That Williams looking very close. We might be able to get a good view of the front wing of that Williams down the Mistral State. You can just see in the dirty air, Menno has dropped back ever so slightly, but he's got the DRS open. Full overtake mode on his ERS. Is he going to send one down the inside? Skeletor defends the inside line. That will compromise his line through this corner. So if Menno's clever, he might be able to get a much better exit than the AlphaTauri here. Anyone who had lap 15 in the Toro Rosso sweepstakes, you've just won yourself some virtual coins as Menno straight down the inside at turn 10. There we go, he's up into 3rd position. Skeletor will try all he can to fight back, but Menno just looking very quick at this point in the race. He's now 15 seconds off the lead, but 1.5 seconds off of Callum, most importantly. The big question for these guys is how long can Mr. Pop keep these mediums in good condition? He'll have to do 12 laps if he pits now, which is definitely manageable. And he will come out probably around about where Nuffle Beezy is at the moment, but be on fresher tyres and faster tyres. That is the oh so crucial thing. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and I think that is Javier who has gone off. Just coming through 8 and 9. Can't see any damage on the Williams, thankfully for him, so just dropping down to 11th place. Nothing damaged but his pride then. We've seen Syndro has come into the pits and put the medium tyres on, so I wonder he was the cause of one of the earlier yellow flags and just got a bit of damage on that Racing Point car. Go on board with Mr. Pop then, just to get an idea of what his tyres are looking like at the moment. How's he feeling out on circuit? Is he looking pretty comfortable with his pace? 13.6 seconds still. Those on the hard staying constant, that gap, so judging by the difference in tyre life, obviously, well, same tyres, but the mediums do wear quicker than the hards on the Mercedes, and the fact that Mr. Pop just looks a bit quicker and straight 1 lap pace. You've got to say them hards are probably the tyres to be on at this moment in stage, so it wouldn't surprise me if this Alfa Romeo does dive into the pits, and there he goes, takes it as late as possible. 60 km/h speed limit here as it's such a tight pit lane, so he is into the pits. Will be mediums again for the final stint, and that then puts the Mercedes out into the lead of this race. So we'll see roughly where he comes out. He was ahead of Nuffle Beezy before the pit stop. Nuffle obviously on the soft tyres, the 2 stints, so he had to change his tyres earlier on. That is why he's on the hards, and he's finding it really difficult, I think, to catch up to those in front. So where will Mr. Pop come out in regards to the Haas car? And you can see that Haas just in the background slightly. So Mr. Pop is in 6th place, 8 seconds off the lead, 11 laps to go with the fresh medium tyres. We've seen him take the lead from the front of the race. Now he's going to have to show his overtaking prowess. These cars got much older tyres, so it shouldn't be too difficult, especially United Bosnia, the McLaren. He does have 11 lap on mediums, and you can see him short shifting there to try and get a bit more traction out of that corner, and that will make it straightforward for Mr. Pop with the DRS to get that position done. He is up into 5th position then. Do now have a very close battle for the lead. Callum and Menno de Bever, first and second, separated by a quarter of a second. Skeletor has managed to catch up to these guys as well. So 3 leader cars, all separated by a second. You'd expect Mr. Pop to be able to get ahead of these guys. Don't think Nuffle will be able to. So 2 of these will be on the podium, I believe. It's just a question of which 2. 10 and a bit laps remaining. Callum has defended valiantly on the first lap to keep Siren behind him. Then did the same to keep Skeletor behind him. Now he's got the Williams of Menno de Bever with that 4-lap tyre advantage. That might just make it a little bit harder for the Mercedes. Both are Mercedes engines, obviously. And anyway, with this league, it is equal car performance, so that does not make any difference. They all have the performance of a regular F1 car. I believe it's the Mercedes that they are usually based on, as it is the class of the field, unsurprisingly. We'll see if Menno can put Callum under any pressure. With 10 laps to go, Mr. Pop's already on the back of Siwem, so that might be a straightforward pass in a few seconds' time for the Alfa Romeo. I can't see the Renault being able to defend this manoeuvre. You can see Mr. Pop's just going to try and cut past him. DRS will open on that Alfa Romeo, and it will be a straightforward DRS pass for Mr. Pop. Menno and Callum got very close there. The Williams got ahead just for a split second, and that's compromised Callum's exit. Menno's just running slightly lower on ERS at the moment, so having to save a bit more. That maybe might cost him throughout this race if he can't get that ERS under management, because Callum seems to have a bit more advantage. He's gone for a very late move there. I don't think he was planning that, but the door opened. You might as well take the opportunity. Menno in the lead of this race. Is Callum able to fight back? Down the inside at turn 12. Not got the grip to do so. So that is Menno in the lead of this race. He now needs to try and escape with Mr. Pop catching up. He's the only one who's got even a slight chance of being able to stop him. But he'll have to defend very hard this time around. We've also seen a change of positions further back between Sindro and Wangevier. Still battling, even though they're both outside the top 10 at the moment. So here we go. Callum. DRS open on the Mercedes. Is he able to go round the outside into turn 1? Gets the manoeuvre done. But this battling is just going to hold them up. And Skeletor, he'll be hoping he can get himself involved in this. He's looking pretty comfortable in 3rd place at the moment. But he's got Mr. Pop, who will be closing into him shortly. United Bosnia that's coming to the pits. He's put a fresh set of mediums on to take him towards the end of the race. And he will be coming out in 8th position. So he'll have to see if he can catch up to Kieron at all. So here we go again. DRS this time around for Menno de Bever. He had a try into the chicane last time around. Didn't quite work for him. Made an overtake in the final sector of the lap before Callum was able to fight back. This time again, that Mercedes very late on the brakes and able to hold the position. He compromised his line slightly. But again, he has a slight bit more electrical energy. And now Skeletor's right behind these guys. He'll be wanting to get himself involved. If there's a bit of a mistake from either of these two, he could pop himself into the lead of this race. It's Mercedes, Williams, Alfa Tauri at this moment in time. You'll just see a bit of a Alfa Romeo popping into view there. Jav has gone around at turns 1 and 2, so he's able to get back on track. No damage done. Down in 11th place now, and he'll have Javier all over the back of him shortly in the Williams as he's tried to make his way past the Ferrari. His teammate still trying to make his way past Callum, not able to do it as successfully as he did last time around. Have to wait and see if he can get this manoeuvre done then. Now he's the one with the DRS. Callum's the one who's going to have to go defending this time around. And just holds him off. Again, the Williams able to go down the inside, but not able to get enough of his car through. A little bit of a bump, but there's no damage done, so obviously they can get away with that. Down the inside into turn 3 and 4. Nothing doing for him this time around. And now the Alfa Romeo of Mr. Pop really beginning to catch up to these guys. So you can see 1, 2. Soon you'll see the 3rd car just hidden behind in the timing tower behind Callum. He's going to have to do some supreme defending for the final 8 laps if he wants to hold on to the win of this race. One man who definitely wants to change the outcome is Menno. He started on the mediums, went to the hards. That's giving him fresher hard tyres at this point in the race, and still he's able to get alongside. Again taps the back of Callum, but not able to get the manoeuvre done. So have to wait and see. Knuffles managed to get ahead of Sirem for 5th and 6th place. They're still fighting tooth and nail here, and I think he might have had to give this place back, because he did get a penalty as he was overtaking. So Knuffles' strategy of going soft, hard, you can see just hasn't worked out for him, and I think 5th place is going to the best he can do, unless the tyres on those ahead of him, especially Callum, Skeletor and Sirem, absolutely drop off the cliff in the latter stages of this race. It's going to be 7 laps remaining at the end of this one then. 4 cars separated by 1.5 seconds, and I know I said France never provides exciting races in real life, it seems. I don't think I've ever commentated on a boring one over F1 2018-2019, and now one of my first commentaries on F1 2020 and my first one here with INL, and it is definitely not disappointing. But Mr. Pop there, he's got a much better exit than Skeletor, and I don't think the Alpha Tauri is going to bother defending that whatsoever. He knows when he's a beaten man. So he goes down into 4th, and now Mr. Pop will be focusing on these two up ahead. We've got more yellow flags, and I think that is Jav who's gone around. Again, he was battling with Javier, so maybe a bit of contact between them. Yellow flags as well, and that is Duffel who's gone round. He was fighting with Siwem, so things going bad to worse from the Haas. It looked as though he had a safe 2nd place earlier on. He's now down in 6th, and he's not got long to go to try and catch up to the Renault up ahead of him. But these front cars still extremely close together. Menno, this time, is he able to get anything done into turns 10 and 11? He's tried it a couple of times. It worked once, but then Callum was able to just fight back. But now he's got a much faster car behind him of the Alfa Romeo of Mr. Pop with the medium tyres as well. So can't afford to go for too much of a lunge. Might have to focus on defending rather than attacking shortly. Jabbing the pits then. I think he'll be putting on the soft tyres and just trying to get the fastest lap of the race. 9th and 12th for the Ferraris. It's not gone to plan for them so far. Menno going very deep again into the penultimate corner. We've seen him do that a few times. And doesn't give you the best run through the final corner either. So he's got DRS and he's going to need it to defend from the Alpha. Which way is the Alfa Romeo going to go? Is he going to be able to do it on the brakes down the inside into turn 1 or around the outside? Not this time. So 6 laps to go. The advantage of those mediums will be getting less and less every single lap. We'll have to see if he can get it done. He looks very fast at the moment, but now that the Williams has DRS, he might just find it a little bit more harder when you're the 3rd man in a DRS train to get a manoeuvre done. The man it should be easiest for is Menno to make a manoeuvre at the moment, as Callum doesn't have DRS, but he's messed up through 6 and 7. He's got the DRS open. That could just help him defend from this Alfa Romeo who's closing ever so slightly. Will Mr. Pop be able to have a go then down the inside into the chicane? He's got better tyres, and that is a very good overtake then from the Alfa Romeo. He is now up into 2nd place. I think Callum's chances of winning this race might just be extinguished in the near future. Mr. Pop going to be able to even have a go through 10. He's not going to get alongside, but we know he's got much better braking performance at this stage of the race. Not close enough to have a go into 11 though. On the exit, he's got a chance, and he might get the drive out of that corner. Both of them squirming ever so slightly, so not getting ideal traction. The Williams just giving the Alfa Romeo a love tap, and I think with the amount of them we've seen, it's a good job damage is turned off at the moment. So Callum in the lead, Mr. Pop 2nd, now Menno 3rd, Skeletor still there in 4th, ready to take advantage if there is any mistakes, of course. So we'll have to wait and see how this goes then. And there we go, Mr. Pop's got a much better run out of the final corner, able to get DRS as well on Callum, and that should be a straightforward manoeuvre round the outside. Callum, as he's done all the race, defended for all he is worth, but that is the lead for Mr. Pop, and surely then, with 5 laps to go, he's going to take a fantastic victory. He's made the 2-stop work brilliantly, and Callum's now really attacking with Menno. Menno having to go down the inside into turn 5 and 6. Callum won't have DRS either, I don't believe, so this might be Menno's best opportunity he's had. Callum not getting an ideal exit, already having to go defensive early on. They're fighting tooth and nail at the moment. Is Menno able to chuck one down the inside? Have to wait and see, and again Callum holding him off on the brakes, and this is just allowing Skeletor to close back up. I think he's just waiting back in case there's a mistake from these guys, and then of course he can take advantage and still get on the podium and get 2nd place. Siwem a long way back now in 5th. He's been caught up by Knuffle Bezzy on those fresher hard tyres. But this is getting very interesting indeed now. For second place, the lead battle looks to be over and done with. I'd expect Mr. Pop to just get away with it now, but we'll have to wait and see how things go. So, 4 laps to go at the end of this one. Mr. Pop in the lead, and you've got a fantastic view from the Alpha Tauri of the battle for second, third and fourth position. Which one of these will be the unlucky driver to miss out on the podium? Callum just getting a squirm on outside of the final corner. I wonder if that's what he did last time around and what cost him the lead. It might cost him second position now. He's got great straight line speed though. They're going 3 wide into turn 1. Someone is going to have to give way. And there's been contact there between Callum and the Williams. The Mercedes and the Williams going off. I said someone has to give way if it is a 3 wide battle. Neither of them did. They ended up losing out, and Skeletor, all he's done is just sat back, waited for a mistake, and once he's had one opportunity, bit lucky maybe to not get involved in that contact, or you could say intelligent driving just to hang back and let it happen in front of him. But I'm sure Callum and Menno will be having words. Skeletor is now a safe second, Callum in third. He's got away from Menno ever so slightly, but now they might find themselves under pressure from Siwem and Nuffle in the final couple of laps. So 3 seconds behind the Haas, but he has got the fresher tyres out of these guys, so maybe his podium chances aren't over yet. Maybe it was a bit premature as he goes for a move down the inside of the Renault. That was from a long way back, and the door was always going to close there, so needs to be patient, needs to be calm, because that was not an ideal move, and needs to save a bit of ERS as well. United Bosnia on his medium tyres. Had a bit of a midfield race, but been very clean and consistent in 7th position at the moment. You could say likewise for Kieran. He is now in 8th. We've got Sindro, Formula Mart, Javier, and Jav still travelling around 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, respectively. Already, Menno has caught up to the back of Nuffle, and Siwem's off circuit. So Menno's caught up to the back of Callum subtly, and Nuffle and Siwem. Now Siwem's gone off track when they've overtaken, and Callum's in the pits. Callum's in the pits. Does he have a puncture? Because that is the only reason I can see you pitting this late on. With 3 laps to go. He's going for the soft, so obviously just trying to get the fastest lap, but must have had a puncture, because I do not see why else he would have pitted then. He's going to drop back behind United Bosnia and possibly behind Kieran as well, but might find it pretty easy to get ahead of them. So that is now Menno up into 3rd place, 2.3 seconds ahead of Nuffle, who does have slightly fresher tyres, but might be a bit of a task getting past the Williams, who, let's not forget, qualified 7th but started in last place. So been a very good job from the Williams driver at this point in the race. Here we are, lap 25 out of 27 then. Menno in 3rd place. Skeletor is 2nd, but in the lead by 4.8 seconds and looks to be cruising to victory. It is Mr. Pop XL. You see Jav saying he wants the fastest lap, and he thinks Callum's doing it to take it off him. So we'll have to see. We might have a bit of a fastest lap battle here, and Kieran's fighting back at United Bosnia. Might have 18 lap old tyres, but he is not giving in at the moment, and why should he? Great manoeuvre from him to get that done cleanly on such old tyres. I think United Bosnia will be trying to fight back through here. He'll have a lot more pace during this bit of the lap, and you can just see the Renault drifting wide, and Bosnia able to get down the inside. And that'll be that 6th position back for him. And Jav still fighting hard to get the fastest lap. We'll see who has got the fastest lap at this moment in time. It is Jav with a 1:30.8, so we'll have to see if Callum can do anything about that. Obviously just going for pride at the moment, and to show they've got good race pace. There are going to be a couple more evaluation races before the proper season starts in a few weeks' time, but they're fighting really hard here, just trying to get used to the game and how everything handles. Of course, has been out a week now, the 70 edition. Schumacher edition been out about a week and a half, and I think a lot of people will have played it and found many faults and many things they wish to improve. But on the whole, I've got to say I have enjoyed this more than 2019 and possibly 2018 as well. 1.5 laps remaining then for the leader, Mr. Pop. 6.9 seconds now is gap back to Skeletor Star, and those hards will really be starting to get a bit second best, as will those on Siwem and Kieran, both Reynolds going for that one-stop strategy. Siwem in 5th position at the moment, should be a safe 5th as long as the tyres don't suffer from a puncture at all. We have got a battle going further down the field though. 9th and 10th place, Formula Matt and Sindro. 9th and 10th at the moment. Javier's in 11th in a race of his own, as is Jav just trying to get the fastest lap, and I think Jav's actually holding up one of the Williams at this moment in time. That'll be Menno Di Bevo. We are on the final lap of the race for the leader then, so we'll just see, can Formula Matt maybe make his way up into 9th position, but just no ERS. And you can see, even with the DRS, just not able to do anything. As soon as you lose that deployment, chances of you overtaking become very slim indeed. Go on board with Callum, see how he's doing for the fastest lap. We'll get the lap data up. 1:30 is the fastest lap at the moment. This is like going back to qualifying. So yeah, is Callum able to do it? He might be able to get past Kieran and United Bosnia, you know. And there we go, Callum has set the fastest lap of the race, 1:30.633. So he'll be happy that he did that for the pit stop. May have even had a podium here today. Could have had second place, but obviously that incident with Menno did cost him in the end. And Bosnia's looking back. He's got the Renault behind him as a bit of a buffer between himself and Callum. And with how quick those soft tyres can be, I think he'll be glad he's got that Renault there just acting as a buffer at the moment. One man, though, who hasn't needed any buffer whatsoever in this race. This Alfa Romeo, Mr. Pop XL, qualified fastest, went for the two-stop strategy. I think he's one of the few to go for that strategy and make it work. You can see only him, self-muffled, Bosnia and Callum, Syndrome, Matt, Jav has done 3 stops, but Mr. Pop, he got it right with that 2-stop, managed to overtake the one stopping cars ahead of him, and he crosses the line very shortly, heads towards the pit wall, doing a bit of weaving, bit of showboating, and who can blame him? Mr. Pop wins the Group 3 evaluation race here at Austria. It'll be Skeletor to come home in second place. Very good drive from him in the Alpha Tauri. Menno coming home in third, but I'm sure he'll be ruining that incident with Callum. Could have well been a podium, well, a second place for him. And Beasy, sorry. If he'd have just maybe gone for the mediums in that second stint, could we have seen him on the podium? Could we have seen him challenging Mr. Pop? He was about 1 second behind at the second pit stop, ended up 16.8 seconds behind. Callum does take 5th place in the end on penalties from Bosnia and Siwen, with Siwen dropping down to 7th. Kieran is 8th, and Sindro and Formula Matt still battling hard for 9th and 10th position. The Ferrari's just ran wide, so I think any chance he's had of doing it off track has gone, and he is really slowing down. Has he run out of fuel? I think he may have run out of fuel here as Formula Matt towards the finish line. So that is Sindro. Has he run out of fuel, or has he got a puncture there? Be a bit surprised to have a puncture with such fresh tyres. Only done 6 laps, sorry, so I'll be surprised if it is a puncture, but he comes across the line in 10th place in the end. His teammate was lapped, and the last person who will be across the line is Javier to come home in 11th place. Both Williams going for the one-stop strategy today, but the two-stop was the best strategy for Mr. Pop. Soft, medium, medium. He takes the win in that evaluation race. With performances like that, it wouldn't be surprising if we see him in the top division of INL when that starts in a few weeks' time, the 8th of August. There you go, driver of the day, most positions gained was Menno, and you can't really argue with that. Started at the back, finished in 3rd. Could well have been in 2nd. Who knows what he could have done if he hadn't have had that 5th place penalty in qualifying and had to fight his way up the field as well. There we go, spraying the champagne. Bits different to see the 2 Alpha teams on the podium and the Williams as well. Go through the results then of that Group 3 evaluation race. It was a great win then for Mr. Pop. He took the victory. Skeletor taking advantage of Menno's and Callum's incidents to finish in 2nd. Menno recovered to 3rd. Nuffle, Beazle, who knows if he could have possibly gone for a different strategy. Might have got on the podium himself, but he can't complain too much with 4th. Callum got that fastest lap in the end, finished 5th. United Bosnia 6th. SLN in 7th. Kieran 8th. Syndro 9th. Formula Matt 10th. Javier 11th, and Jav the final finisher of this evaluation race here at INL. There is another one on right now, Group 2 going underway at this moment in time. Be able to watch that race. It is Dan or V8 Field commentating that one. They're just coming to the end of the qualifying session. They've got 10 drivers, but I think this race has shown that you don't need a full grid to get entertaining action. There will be some more evaluation races next week as well. The second pre-season evaluation race will be taking place next week. Same time, same place, I believe, around Austria. The Red Bull Ring, track we've seen quite often in the real world lately. Then a few days after that will be the announcement for the drivers for Season 2. That will be taking place midweek on that week, commencing the 25th. So it'll be 29th of July, the Wednesday, for the divisions being announced. There'll be one more evaluation race after that, the following Saturday, around the Silverstone circuit, and then afterwards we will start the season on the 8th of August. The season will be starting, and I'm sure everybody's looking forward to what will be a fantastic season. I'm sure here, starting with the Australian Grand Prix, the traditional start. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Make sure to check out the other evaluation race now, Group 2, that Dan is taking in charge of. Make sure to check out the Intelligence Racing League Twitter as well, at Intelligence INL. Join the Discord as well if you're interested in finding out about any possible reserve slots and maybe getting yourself in for next season whenever that will start. That's a long way away yet, but a great performance today from Mr. Pop. He showed some fantastic form. He'll be hoping to keep that up in the next evaluation race. We'll have to see if anyone else can challenge him. All the groups will be mixed up again, so it'll be interesting to see how they cope racing with some different faces. I've been Luke Etheridge. You've been a fantastic audience. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time around. Goodbye.